bank that wanted us would waive those fees.
Not the checks, because they are printed by an outside person. They might waive, or they would give you the regular deposit tickets. But since for the town clerk, she uses the duplicate deposit
Yeah.
tickets, NCR, they do charge for those because they can't wipe those. I would also remind you, I'm gonna get a peach thrown at me or something. TD Bank did eliminate all of our charges for the year and still does pay us interest. So saving the town about $1,200 to $1,300 a year. However, and all the other banks, none of them were willing to waive the fees. So what it would mean is going back into a relationship where we probably will be charged fees. Some of the rules for government banking changed in the past year, so I need to check with the state and see what we do because of the FDIC limits on our account, and we do exceed those limits a few months out of the year. So I will check into it. And
well, I think it would be interesting on realizing there's a lack of a trust here, and rightfully
Right.
so. But it would be interesting to give them a little time to see. How to
Well, it won't
respond.
hurt to look into other banks and see
Right.
what they're willing to offer at this point in time. I mean, we don't have to change,
right.
but if you don't throw the worm in the water, you don't know what fish you're gonna catch.
And
Just remember, it takes me time to get to all of them and all that.
No,
that's fine. Anything else?
On another matter that you guys aren't gonna like very much, you made a decision at a closed meeting to abate a property owner's taxes. First of all, I'm very unhappy about that, but that's just me. And, but I did want to do a few housekeeping things in that matter. Number one, I won't abate any taxes without a written letter stating and asking me, to do so, requiring me to do so, I should say. And I believe you set up made a deal with this individual to start making payments towards another year's taxes. And I wanted to know if that was all in writing, and signed by her and notarized, and ask you what we're going to do as far as setting that up, if in fact it ever comes to the point of setting it up. The reason I am unhappy about this is because I think we could have gone through a deferral system instead and deferred those taxes. The way it stands now, if this property is lost through foreclosure or through any other means with the bank, we basically handed Bank of America $2,500 because they would have paid the taxes as they always have on this property. I was not at the meeting, I don't know what went on, it's none of my business. But I did just want that, you guys to know that it's not something that, I guess speaking as a taxpayer, I feel as though a couple of years ago, we had a single lady come to us with a letter, or send a letter, requesting that we abate only the interest portion of her taxes. And at that time, we decided, no, we were not going to do that. We were not going to set a precedent of this nature. And with this action, I feel as though, my policy has always been to treat everyone the same and everyone equal. I feel as though this is changing the rules a little bit, that we've gone now to a point where we're not treating everybody equal. And I'm kind of disappointed in it, that's all. Just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. Anything else?
Nope, all set.
Town clerk? Administrative assistant?
No, I have assessor though.
Assessor clerk?
Okay. I was trying to complete the MS1, which is due on September 1st. Avatar had sent out a letter, which I know you're familiar with. Utility values changed, and they wanted us to know. They asked us if we wanted to change the rates in our Avatar system, and it would cost us an additional $1,500 to do this. Okay.
Wow.
Such a deal.
So, you want to take a look at that?
I thought this was part of our assessing.
So let me understand this. The company that does our assessing, in
Yeah.
order to adjust that in their computerized system, wants $1,500.
Yeah.
We're in the wrong business.
How much are we gonna get back in tax money? Enough to cover it?
And why would they want, any indication as to why they would want that much money to do that? I mean, is that difficult for them to push two buttons or whatever they have to do? Or is there a-
You know, I didn't even, that's their rate that they set. He said some towns opted not to do it and some did.
This is, we have for utilities?
Utilities.
We only have 3, don't we? Public service, telephone,
Co-op.
electric
I think
co-op.
this is just for the,
It's $500 for the first utility and $400 for each thereafter to do it.
One would question how the event is, how that amount comes so close to what we would be receiving. I hate to say a conflict, but I almost think, never mind, we're on
Well, what if we don't do it?
then, I guess, I forget how we put it. If we don't change our rates and we use last year's rates and it comes through on the MS1, then they can appeal that to the town and say you should be using the new rates versus the old rates. Yeah.
Are the rates higher or lower?
Does
That's what I'm trying to read and see if it says that in here.
Doesn't it say it on there?
We all agreed there was a flaw in these past records and stated changes have been made, but it would take years to cycle through and replace old data and inventory with updated records. Trying to see if it says that there's any. Just says shortly we will be sending out valuation estimates for your telecommunication poles and conduit based on the miles of road and average distance between poles, as Fairpoint has not responded to any of our requests. If I read this right, I'm believing it's less. It says, while it didn't give direct support, it did suggest that the cost less depreciation approach was much further away from these actual sales than net book was. So that means it's lower. So of course the utilities want it done because it's lower than what was on there.
Well, it had gone extremely high this past year from what it was in years past.
I mean, did we just change these rates?
I don't know, but in years past, I just off the top of my head, the public service tax was a couple $1,000s. And this past year, it was almost $10,000.
And that's the tax that we send out to the utility.
Yeah.
So they want us to keep it at the 10 in their letter, what they're asking?
No, they would like to readjust it.
Back down.
I'm assuming that's the direction it's going.
At our expense.
Yeah, it's gonna cost us $1,300. Well, she's got $1,500.
That's right, Gary.
But according to the letter, it's $500 for the first and $400 for the second and third. If we have 3
I
different
don't know
utilities.
if I'd have to look and see what we actually had.
So,
Add it to my stack of things to talk
I would
about.
call the state, somebody from DRA or something, but my just concern is, I know they're always discussing this thing on, changing the rates for utilities and all this and that. And just I just think talking to the state or talking to one of our elected representatives to see what's really going on here.
I thought we were paying Avatar to evaluate our town properties, residential, all the properties within the town. And they're saying that the utilities are outside that scope and there's an additional cost for it. Sounds like they need money because every time we turn around, they're trying to rack up a bill on us.
They didn't tell us that originally, did they? That the utilities were outside the scope?
I look at the contract.
I have to look at the contract.
Look at the
Huh?
contract.
Any reference to that in the contract?
I'd have to look.
We'd have to look
I'd
at
have
it.
to pull it and look.
That would be separate. It's a good idea.
So, curious.
Let me make some phone calls.
That's it?
That's it.
I should probably get the extension.
Let's go, I was gonna recommend an extension to the MS1
Okay.
while we look into this, because it's due the 1st of September.
And would it be possible to get a rundown for dummies? I mean, just somebody explain in layman's term what they're doing.
Yeah.
Help me, I know.
Get a sign on the line. Underneath where it says, or above where it says assessors.
Yep.
I think one of our state reps would like to have some good input on this too.
The town actually has 3 MS reports due to the state the 1st of September. Diane has already done hers, the MS 61, and Jeannie Sams has acknowledged to me that she's received it from you.
At least 3 times.
Well, it didn't fall through the cracks.
Yeah, this time
that's
she got
better.
it, yeah.
We have the MS1, which we just talked about, and later in this meeting, we're going to talk about the MS4, which is the selectman's responsibility, and we'll be working with Mary Lou on that one, but anything else?
No, that's it.
And could you explain for everybody what the MS4 basically is?
It's a re-estimation of revenues for the town.
We built our budget last fall. You approved it in March, and sometimes revenues are more or less than you anticipated. This is our chance as the selectmen to make an adjustment on anticipated revenues.
If we have more revenues than anticipated that come in, it means our tax rate goes